Running a demo is one of the most exciting parts of any sales relationship. The reason is it usually indicates that the customer is ready to move forward with us. But the challenge is that when we run a demo, we fall the risk of making it seem like a one-way monologue. So here's how we need to set up our demo to make sure that we optimize for success. Now, typically, when we get into the demo phase, we're following that age-old adage, prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. So when you start off your demo, it needs to start off with some form of a diagnosis. You need to explain why we're even talking about whatever we want to talk about today. Now, once we set the stage and we get ready to have a proper demo conversation, I want you to feel the difference between the two experiences. From our end, we love talking about our product, so our engagement goes through the roof. We're passionate about what we solve for, we're passionate about our customers, and then by the end, we level off a bit to set up next steps. The customer, they equally go through the same experience at the very beginning. They are very excited to hear about what you have to offer. They finally get to see the product, but sometimes when you're excited, you go on a monologue, you start talking to yourself, or you start talking in generalities that have nothing to do with them. You're just talking about your features and benefits. And what can happen, an email comes in, Slack message comes in, and your customer is basically disengaged, just saying, yep, cool, every now and then maybe glancing, but their engagement level has dropped. This issue is what we call the engagement gap. And we need to solve this when we run demos as a professional. So the way that we do that is we use what we learned in the diagnosis to schedule out the customer's top 3 challenges. One famous line that you can use is, hey, instead of showing you this 30-slide deck that I have, I'd like to just point out the 4 or 5 that are most relevant to you. Does that sound good? Now, customers love when you do that because it shows that you're saving them time. So here are the steps that we need to do. First, like we already discussed, you need to confirm your diagnosis. Make sure that you have aligned why we're speaking today in the customer's terms. The second thing that we need to do is whenever we show our screen, we need to bring up the context. So let's imagine that I've pulled up my screen and I have a whole bunch of graphs and charts and different things going on. So over here will be the charts, and I have a list of items here, and maybe a breakdown of a report that explains different things. You have seen this slide 1,000 times. Your customer, maybe this is the first time they're actually seeing your product. So their eyes are going to be moving all over the place. Now, another mistake you got to look out for is if you have your bookmarks up here, your customer is going to get distracted. If notifications like Slack or email come in, they'll be looking at that. Don't scroll up and down. Make it simple. So here's what I'd like you to say during setting the context. Now, pulling up my screen, on the left-hand side, you'll see a bunch of tabs that will help you navigate the account. On the top right, this is where the dashboard is located, so you can get a quick look about what's going on. But what I want you to focus on is the KPIs and metrics that you see in the chart at the bottom right. When you've set it up like this, you now help your customers see what they should be focusing on. Oftentimes we get distracted, or we're trying to set up things and we're still sharing our screen and our eyes are going all over the place. Customers get distracted. So make it simple for them, point them to what you want to focus on so that they can get the most impact for their time. Now let's go into the next part. Once we finally actually show them our demo, we need to do certain things to make sure we avoid this engagement gap. Now, I want you to demo the product, but it needs to be in the context of what your customer is actually looking to solve. So if their number one pain point is lack of visibility, you'll bring up your demo by saying, because you mentioned lack of visibility is the number one priority across your company, here's how we would solve that. I'd show you the dashboard, I'd show you the visualization, and then you need to ask 3 questions. The first question you need to ask, is that relevant? You need to make sure that what you just demoed to solve their problem, they also agree that would solve their problem. Now, you don't have to ask it in the same way every time as you go through multiple features or things that will help solve their problems. Ultimately, the focus is confirming with them that they feel that this would solve their problem. The second thing is we need to go deeper. Uncover impact. Don't let your demo just feel like a one-way monologue or I'm just telling you information. You can always diagnose deeper. So if a customer says, yes, that's relevant, that would be amazing to have in my company, I want you to ask the impact question. What impact would that solution have on your company today? That's great that you think that would be relevant. What's amazing about it? What stands out to you? Or to what extent would that solution be of value to your business? Ask them an impact question to get them to go deeper. And then finally, the number 3 question to always ask, we'll come back to the emotion. This is what real estate agents do. This is what car salesmen do as well, is after you've already committed to being emotionally attached or thinking that it's cool, make them visualize the solution in their context. So simply ask, do you see yourself using this? Or do you see your team using this? This is what the real estate agents would do if you're going to a house. They say, can you imagine yourself sipping a glass of wine watching the sunset? Or can you visualize yourself going on a long road trip with your dog in the backseat? These techniques help somebody feel like they know what the solution would be like in their context. It helps you make it more memorable. So as you go through this process, make sure that you have a two-way conversation. You make it about the customer, not just selling features and benefits, and you tie it all together with what you're trying to prescribe to them. Don't just get comfortable and talk about your product in your own terms or the way that you always talk about it to every possible customer. Take the extra step and make it about them. Use what you learn in the diagnosis when you're showing your product.